Well, that's wider. What's happening, folks? Not sure how I feel about this. What do you guys think? I got a new webcam. And by new webcam, I mean use webcam for the low. All right, let's adjust this a little bit here. All right. So, hey, Paycheck, what's happening, man? So, in today's video, I want to talk about the AC200 Max. I don't know if anybody except for Wayne picked up on it, but I was kind of talking myself out of it. And I want to share with you guys my journey kind of back to it. It's not a long one, but I went through a thing. Let's see here. Man, so I got a new webcam. It's the Logitech C920. And I was looking for webcams over the weekend because I just didn't like the quality of the camera that I had before. One thing is I don't think it recorded in 1080p, but I settled on this one because I got it used for $20. I don't know how I accomplished that, but the people were selling it on the Facebook Marketplace. It goes for like $70, and I feel like I'll try it for $20. Why not? The laptop is plugged in. I ran out of power last time, which is embarrassing. How dare I? How dare I run out of power? All right, we got Tennessee Franken or TN Frank. What's happening, man? Ulysses, Sleeper. What's going on? Edwin. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like you've been commenting lately. I don't know if I missed something. Noir Prepping and Food Adventures. Hey, what's happening? I wanted to say sir. Got Paycheck, Rhea. Hey, Rhea. Keldria, haven't seen your name on a couple of the lives. It's good to have you here. All in the soul. What's happening, man? I had Applebee's last night. I didn't have Applebee's. My wife had like a time apart to like get out by herself, and she went to Applebee's, so she brought home some Applebee's, which is cool. I like the quality. I think the quality is better. Hey, MJ, Blood Gaze, what's up, man? You gotta tell me about your solar situation. Are you doing anything cool, or is it all still the same? Have you moved your panels around? You can send me an email, whatever you like. It's up to you. TN Frank says Logitech is always a good bet. I know, right? I was thinking about this one. Then they have the 922S and got the 922X and the Pro. And then they have something that starts with a B that's like almost $200. The quality looked good, but it ain't look $173 good over the Pro. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'm impressed. $20. Don't forget to like. Remember, you like the video, YouTube shares it with other people. It doesn't do much for me necessarily. I mean, I appreciate seeing the likes, but I appreciate you guys reminding people. Gary, what's happening? What's going on? Hey, Melissa. I'm going to give me some more water, and then we're going to get right into it. So, the AC200 Max is $16.99. You cannot pre-order it until a specific date. I believe that specific date is August the 20th. So I had been kind of going back and forth with what I would do as it relates to getting like my big boy power station, like just being a grown up about it and spending the money that I don't necessarily have. But what I can't do is I can't keep buying smaller power stations or, just spending $200 here. And that's really it. Ain't no here and there, because if I got one, it would be a while before I purchased another one. So I just decided, man, I'm not comfortable with the fact that should we lose power for an extended period of time, I wouldn't have the ability to run my refrigerator and my deep freezer. So I was like, man, I got to get a big one. So I informed the wife. I was like, I need about to like get ready to spend about $2,000. That's the goal. And she understood. I don't know if I can say she was cool with it, but she was cool with it. So on the last live, I talked about that decision. And then I started thinking like, okay, I'm always a proponent of, well, I'm certainly a proponent of two is one, one is none. But I'm always a proponent of having two power stations, two smaller power stations instead of one big one. So I started to look at that EB150. And I was talking to Wayne about it. It's like for $899, because in my mind that's how much it's going to forever cost. I'm pretty sure it's $999 now. I even saw like a coupon. Somebody even I think it was Happy Wife. She emailed me about a coupon on the AC200P. So I went down this path of looking at that one. The EB240 is like it's too close to the AC200P and the AC200 Max, so that kind of ruled that out. I looked at the EcoFlow Delta, the first one. My problem with that one, okay, let me get back to the EB150. The reason why I went that way, and then I ultimately steered around it. Oh, if it rains, guys, I'm going to have to end the live because I can't do it anywhere in the house. Actually, my wife is leaving, so I may be able to like relocate. But who's going to relocate? I would just start up another live. Anyway, I had an issue with the EB150. One, because it charged really slow comparatively. It only charges at like 160 watts from the wall or something crazy like that. That's a 1500 watt hour dip. Like, nah, bruh. I didn't like that the ports were spread out like that on the front and the back. I didn't like a lot of things about it, but I was willing to deal with it because it would essentially give me two. Then I started to think about the solar input. And granted, I couldn't accomplish 500 watts of solar, but it has such a low voltage. I believe the voltage is 60 volts. So by the time you put 3 panels in series, you're pretty much knocking on the door. And then the amp input limit causes a problem as well. So you can't do too many parallels because I think it has a 10 amp input limit. Don't quote me on that, but at some point when you put your panels in parallel, if that amps keeps combining 5, 10, 15, at some point you get away from what it can take in. So I kind of scratched that one out. So I had to move on. Let's see what y'all talking about. Hey, Janice. What's up, Bean? Man, what's going on? Bean Energy, he has a DIY channel. He's down in Texas, I believe. Y'all should check him out if you're into DIY stuff. He made a video about cutting his grass from solar. He'll just be out there like laying 250, 300 watt panels on the ground and just hooking them up together and testing them with his MPPT controllers and stuff like that. It's cool. Are you still making videos, man? I know you kind of put something out recently, but he also made a video about running his air conditioner straight from panels. I'm extremely intrigued by that stuff, so I was hoping he would make more videos about that, but he has his own kind of thing going on, which I respect. I do that 100%. Paycheck says, I agree, you need a powerhouse now. Nice. I agree on the smaller power stations. I need the main thing. Yep. T.N. Frank is saying, I like the Babine Alcatel so much. I picked up the Alcatel. You picked up an Alcatel phone the other day? Interesting. My Samsung J3 was getting a bit long in tooth. Yeah, the J series is, even when it's new, it's interesting. Yeah, and you put too many in parallel, you need to fuse the panels too. Interesting. Yeah, I don't want to get into fuses or anything like that. Oh, Bean says, hey, thanks. I'm sitting here with a newborn, so I've been behind on putting out more videos. I know. On our family channel, we ain't put out a video since November. So I get it, man. I get it. Congratulations. Wayne, what's happening? Satiq, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Thanks for that advice that you gave me something to think about with that ego. I'm in the market to buy an Ego more, and Satiq was saying, I hope that's how I say your name. He was saying that the batteries are really expensive. I don't plan to buy a whole bunch of batteries, if more than one at all, but they are costly, that's for sure. Richard Brown, what's up, fam? Enjoy the knowledge on solar. Okay. All right, so the EB150, I kind of crossed that out. I like the idea for 1800. I would basically have 2 power stations, but the solar charging thing kind of became an issue for me, and the charging from the wall became an issue for me, and you can't charge it from the car outlet. That's another thing that came into play. So the Delta, my ultimate issues with the Delta is also its port arrangement, but that's not the most important. I had an issue with the Delta because it's limited to 400 watts of solar. Keep in mind, this is all, this stuff doesn't live in a vacuum. It's all comparative to the AC200P and now the AC200 Max, which can take in 900 watts of solar. I don't have that much solar power, but it could take it in, and then it could take in an extra 500 watts of solar on the AC input. I wonder if they give you that adapter though, or if you have to buy it. Nobody seems to talk about that. The device is not out necessarily. I get it, but whenever I watch videos, mainly the marketing from Bluetti, they just mention this thing. They don't talk about price or anything. I guess I could ask that in the group, so I may do that at some point. So the Delta, the original Delta, not the Max, 400 watts of input, like 1200 some odd watt hours of capacity of power. I kind of scratched that out because it's like $11.99. Now it was on sale for $9.99. Even then, I wasn't really that compelled because it's the power storage is not that much. So I kind of went past that one. I even looked at the Max, the new Max from Delta, and I did I take some notes on that because I was kind of not impressed by that one necessarily either. Oh, the thing with the Delta Max and the Delta Original was at that point when you got to the Delta Max, I think it's $16.99 as well, or $15.99. At that point, I might as well get the Max because it doesn't have LiFePO. So I went through this whole process, which was good because for me, working through that process means I won't have buyer's remorse. I won't just buy it and then be like, dang, should I have got, or maybe that one would have been better. So I'm glad I did that little workout, so to speak. Did anyone else, T and Frank is saying, notice that the Bouge RV and the EB70 are the same unit as well? Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people notice that. But it's cheaper now with Led's coupon. He has a $60 off coupon that's directly from Bouge RV. And there's also, to my knowledge, the last time it was kind of in the mentioning, Amazon had the $60 off as well. So you have to ask yourself, would you get the EB55 or would you spend the extra 80 plus tax? Not 80. How much is the EB55? Isn't it $4.99? The extra $40 plus tax to just get the EB70 or the Bouge RV, whatever it's called. I would get the Bouge RV. Me personally. Some people may like or need, I can't imagine why you would, some people may need the ability to charge from both the wall and solar. I imagine if you're in an RV or something like that and you had access to what they say, I think it's shore power, SHORE. I'm not sure. Pardon the pun. You could then charge it faster and then be on the road quicker. I guess that's cool. I don't know. Fred Vaughn says, YouTube it hides channels. It hides when people mention other channels. Cheap RV Living is going to give away a huge Bluetti AC200P. That's nice. Cheap RV Living is the Bob guy with the ambulance. I get it now, in the beard. What's going on, Sunday Backyard Farmer? What's happening? I think you can save tax with the Bouge RV. That's another interesting thing. It depends on your state. I heard Hobotech mention that. He said that that used to be a thing that he mentioned in the last like 3 months or so, like buy from that site and then you can avoid making Jeff Bezos a billionaire 8 times over. And you could support the company directly and you could avoid paying tax. But he mentioned that some states are now passing laws that apply tax to purchases directly from when you buy from a site if they're not in your state or something like that. I forget how that works. I think you have to pay tax if they're in your state. If they're not in your state, typically you don't have to pay tax. The laws are changing because I had to pay tax on my Bluetti. Paycheck says Bluetti is not only out of stock of the EB70, Paycheck is having an issue with his power adapter. But it's no longer listed on their site. I find that hard to believe. Jeez, it's not on the site anymore. The EB70 was always a weird kind of device on their site to begin with. Hey, 2%. Bean says Spotify just started charging tax, I think. Started getting emails from them. States are cracking down, methinks. That's funny. What's going on, Alpha? Hey, Robert. B3, welcome, man. I'm still looking to rap with you, B3. Don't avoid the conversation if you want to have it. What's going on, Richard? Ria's Shaq. I commented on one of your videos, Ria. I'm curious if you have a video about just like what is ham radio. I feel like that would be a good video. I'd watch it. But I do understand that a lot of times you make video, not you specifically, but we make videos for our users. And typically our users are already interested in the thing, so they don't need a beginner video. It could be a short too. Ria is saying that's the Wayfair decision. We had to deal with it at one of the nonprofits where I'm on their finance committee. Janice says they have 2 different sites. I think Paycheck is aware of that, Janice. His power adapter isn't working. Melissa Singletary, I pay taxes when purchasing from Amazon. As much as they have those warehouses everywhere, I think we all pay taxes when we buy from Amazon now. Anthony, what's happening? Roots. That went too fast. What's going on, Roots? Hey, Ann, good to see you. Where was the $60 coupon on the Bouge RV power station? I believe Amazon, it was on sale, and Amazon had $60 off. And then Lead Farmer 73 has a coupon. I think it's Lead Farmer 60 for 60% off of the Bouge RV. You could go check around his channel and probably find it, Edwin. Okay, Janice is saying, what's going on, Joe? Janice is saying, I couldn't find the EB70 either because I'm toying around with getting it. But it's on there. Paycheck, he messaged me. He said he wondered if Bluetti sold all the EB70s to Bouge RV. I think Bouge RV and Bluetti bought that device from someone and sold it to us. Because the EB70 in some form or fashion has been around. When I first looked into it, because Steve Vanderman mentioned it in a group, I could find only sites mentioning it, and they were in Mandarin. MJ confirmed. Paycheck, man. My bad. I was slacking on you. Sati says, has anyone tried those plug into the wall inverters? Which ones? The cheap ones? Like you get from Amazon, or the like the MPP and the Grow Watt and all that jazz? I like those devices. They're all in one inverter, whatever. I don't know what else they MPPT, an inverter, and then you just have to add panels, and then you have to add a battery. Grow Watt, Will was talking about, one of those has the ability to run devices without a battery, which I think is dope. Now, he tried to run his air conditioning. I just want to be able to charge my laptop from the sun without needing a battery. I think that would be dope. So he went like the 3,000 to 5,000 kilowatt option. I don't know what number it was, but he went high threshold. I wish he had tried something smaller, but he didn't. I want to sell that Thunderbolt 13 watt for the Go Power. Good luck with that, man. Um, that thing is wild, but honestly, more portable items do cost more than their larger counterparts. My Anchor folding panel, 15 watts, cost me $60. It may have cost me a little bit more, but just think about that. I got that 50-watt sun power cell for 85. You could get a 100-watt HQST panel for 80. So, the smaller you go, the more costly it gets. All right, Tatik says the cheap ones on Amazon that you can hook to a panel and then plug into the wall. Yeah. Every time I've asked about it, I have a playlist on it because I'm extremely curious about it. Again, like my situation has always been, I want power from the sun, and I want it to not cost much. So I was interested in those. I'm still kind of interested in those, but every time you talk about it, the thing is ultimately that it's illegal, and if your utility company catches you doing it, you're gonna have a problem. I still want to try it. I don't know what kind of problem you'll have, but they may fine you or whatever. Kat asks, has anyone had problems with the EB70 draining very, very quickly? As MJ precisely stated, it seems like all of them have different personalities, the EB70s. So yeah, some people have had issues with them. Ban Everything had to get a return done on his EB70 because the capacity wasn't up to snuff, I think is what they say. So yeah, you may want to do something like really scientific to test that. Someone has informed me that using a light bulb, a 100-watt light bulb, is a good way to test it instead of a fan. I don't think they got back to me because those DC testers have fans in them, but he was talking about inductive loads versus whatever the other one is, and that stuff went over my head. Oh, okay. Kat must have asked about that somewhere else. Janice is saying. Noir, no, I just bought the EB55 from Bluetti because they didn't have the EB70 on there. Amazon had it as of yesterday. That's interesting, Noir, because I wonder if they're going to keep selling the EB70 because they priced the EB55 at $500. The EB70 was $500. So that was weird to me, but since they're out of stock, I guess that makes sense. The EB70 did go up to $599 and $600 too recently. The microphone sounds more intense. One in and one. You typed that in all caps too. It could be how it's wired. This is the same microphone. The camera is different. And it could be that I'm just talking loud too. My dream house is a global Earth station. What does that mean, TN Frank? I guess the issue with Bluetti is why Will Prouse says to wait about 6 months before buying Bluetti products. Oh, interesting. Did he say that? They said the EB70 at $499 was worth it for sure. Up to $599, not so much, right? It's like that. The $599 EB70 versus the EcoFlow River Pro is a much more interesting conversation that leans me towards the EcoFlow Pro. But you still can't knock LifePo. I mean, you can't. He's clipping, I think. Okay. I don't think I have control over the audio in that regard. Let me see what's going on here. I think I could mute. Yeah, that mutes it. I do have an audio indicator on here, and I'm at 2. And it goes up to 6. I feel like the rain is coming. B3 says the EB70 is on bluepower.com. David, what's happening? I just about talked myself into the EB70. Now you have me leaning back towards the EcoFlow River Pro. Is that a better choice? I like the LiFePO batteries. Thanks, Paycheck. If you get an EB70 that just works, it's really a toss-up. It depends on your needs. Excuse me. Didn't know it was going to be so difficult to figure out which power generator to get. I feel I'm all over the place. Yeah, you and me both, Janice. I've settled down though. I don't know. This is a question for the ages. I don't know. It just depends on your situation, what will work out better for you. What I said before is if you're prone to have power outages and being able to charge up your device before the power goes out gives you peace of mind, and I would go with the EcoFlow. And, you know, lithium ion battery chemistry, you lose 20% faster, but we all lose 20% at some time. You know, I don't know. Okay, it's a TN Frank says it's a self-contained house made out of recycled tires. I thought those were called earth ships. TN Frank. I watched shows of people building those things. I think they're really interesting. They take a lot of work though. Thank you, Melissa. Says it sounds good to her. Thanks for your earlier video about the HQST 190 solar panel. It works well with my EB70. That's another thing, man. Can I get my panel? Dennis, the Menace. I know like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 people who got their panels. I'm not so lucky. I guess first in, last out or something. Jeez. So Tita's saying you can't go by percentage. This is in relation. What's going on, Ben? Everything. This is in relation to the EB70 capacity. You can't go by percentage since that's an estimated based on voltage. You have to actually capacity test it with a load. That is interesting. That's part of the reason why I returned the AC30, because I wasn't sure about its capacity, and I just wanted to take that $200 some odd and put it towards the EB70. So it wasn't worth me kind of testing and figuring stuff out. I think I did do like a casual capacity test somewhere in my video archive, but someone has mused that the meters don't do as well on LiFePO because the companies are just using the standard meters on them. I don't know that to be true, but it's an interesting thing. There was some issues actually with this one, the Bowden's. The meter on it was interesting too, but it was one of the first devices to have LiPo in it. All right, let me complete this thought. So as it relates to landing back at the AC200 Max, I basically had to push myself to decide I'm not going to spend $20.99 on that device. I'm just not going to do it. So the AC200P is pretty much the same price as the pre-order of the AC200 Max. So it's just like, again, I found myself kind of landing on the AC200 Max. It's not the best price per watt. I think it's like 85 cents. I did the math last time. But it's 2,000 watts. It has a 2,000 watt inverter. It can take in a crap ton of solar. And that's just how I'm going to do it. Unless I can't get the pre-order, and then I'm going to just take that as an indicator that I need to figure out something else or wait a little longer. D. Burton, hey, can you say hi? Shay? Hi, Shay. Oh, is it? Yeah, I don't know how you can put anything else on there. The E is throwing me off, though. Is a 200 watt Bluetti panel good for my EB70? A 200 watt Bluetti panel? Yeah, the 200 watt Bluetti panel for the Bluetti EB70 it's I would dare say perfect, but it costs a lot of money, so it's not very It's not very cost effective, in my opinion. Um, T and Frank says, "Yep, Earth ships." Sorry, asked you the alley question and had to take a phone call. I can go back and listen later. What was your question, Bean? I don't think I caught it. 2%. My understanding is that you're in an apartment. Uh, you know what may be good for you, 2%, is to play around with like smaller panels but bigger than 100 watts. So maybe you do like a 150 or a 160 or something like that. It'll be a little smaller than the 200. The 200 is pretty sizable. Um, I like the Bluetti panel. What's it? The SP200. I liked it when it was $400. I thought that that was fair pricing for people who need folding panels. That $499 stuff is off the chain, and I'm not a fan. B3 Outdoors, what do you think about the expandable batteries for the 200 Max? That's something in my notes. Thank you, sir. I actually, so as it relates to expandable batteries, these are my thoughts. Tung tung. I almost always, personally, would rather just get a separate device. Let's look at the numbers. The AC200 Max is $1699 pre-order. The batteries are $1199, $1,200 and $1,700. I'd rather spend the extra $500 and just have a whole different device. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, I often do this. I try to like think about both sides of the coin. The only situation that I could come up with where you would want that expandable battery instead of having two devices is if you had to have something and you wanted it to run longer and it had to be unattended. Like it absolutely had to keep going. I don't know many things that need that. Maybe you have to run 3 CPAP machines over the night, and having it's just like I can't find a scenario where it makes sense. But if you can think of a scenario where something needs to absolutely run for a certain amount of time and you can't afford to have one thing backfilling the other, but even then it doesn't make sense because you would have to think if you wanted something that ran for a long time against a 2,000 watt hour battery and it needed to actually run a long time, it will probably be using about 100 watts or something, maybe 150, 200. I don't know. That's just my musings. I'm still working through it, but that's the only thing I could think of. Robert, yo, ask God, what do you think about the Energy Apex solar generator? The Apex, I don't even know which one that is. They had the Energy Kodak, and then the Energy Apex was after it. And now they got the Energy Flex, which is like a mini Titan. I had to tip my hat to Energy because they were one of the first people to come out with a power station that was really like capable. Outside of Goal Zero is just not on my map, but that Energy was expensive. Gary's saying an unattended refrigerator. Hey, happy wife. T and Frey said I need to grab another drink. What kind of drink? Sauce gang. Yeah, I can't think of any situation where I would ever want more power in one location versus the same power in two different locations, especially considering that I have solar panels and stuff like that. I don't, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm all ears. C-Jet Loyola, I bought the Big Blue 150 folding panels off of Amazon during a Prime Day, and it works great. It has half the cost of the Bluetti folding panels. What kind of power do you get out of them, though? I'm tempted to say, like, Agwe, people, a couple people gave the Agwe a hard time. Not a hard time, but because it put out about 80 watts in direct sunlight. I'm pretty tempted to say that those 120 watt panels are going to put out around that much. I've seen some people talk about 90. I didn't go deeply down the hole, but most folding panels at 120 watts. The ones that I have heard people talk about it, and it's only been like 2 or 3. So please don't quote me on this, but they were talking about like 90. So I don't think it's that much worse. And it also started out at $150. I could go down the path of why that makes a whole lot of sense, but I won't. Janice says, I'm curious, why is it that there is so much concern about the panels being waterproof? When it's raining, are you going to try and eke out some energy? The answer to that question, Janice, is sometimes it rains just for a little bit, or it rains when the sun is out, or you could have other elements like snow and stuff like that, where you still getting sunlight, and it can rain and be bright and you still get power. The good thing about let's say having 200 watts of solar in, you could get by on the power that is produced on an overcast day. You can't get by with much, but if you needed to charge your cell phone in an emergency or run a USB fan, that thing will pull in about 20 to 40 watts. And that's a good look. That could power and run my laptop if I needed to be on my laptop to watch a movie or something. It's funny because there's a storm kind of doing this thing. And whenever that happens, if my devices aren't charged, like today wasn't a great solar day, I usually go and try and plug up at least one of my power stations. I did it yesterday for my EB70. I plugged it all the way up, and we never lose power. So T says, if you want to run stuff for long, you should start looking into DIY, like tethering some LiPo batteries to your power station, especially when Prouse keeps finding cheaper ones. If you ever, Sati, get to a point where you start testing that, please do a video, because I would love to see that. I don't, in my mind, what you should be able to do, and this is kind of silly a little bit, but just bear with me. You should be able to take a 12-volt battery. Of course, the voltage range, it fluctuates depending on the battery capacity. So it may be sitting at like 13 point something. Here comes the rain. I should be able to wire a 12-volt cigarette lighter directly onto that device and just charge my power station through the 12-volt adapter and get power from that battery. Now, the question is, how are you going to charge that battery? That's a whole different thing. You can buy an AC charger for external batteries. You can either figure some other stuff out. You can just get a charge controller for your solar panels. But the thing about that is you would have to cut the MC4. I'm pretty sure stuff is going to get wet. Y'all give me 1 second. Just make sure I don't have too much out here. Ooh, it's coming down, coming down, coming down. Oh. Ooh. Oh. 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 My wife was saying, I was telling my wife, like, it shouldn't get too wet up here when it rains, right? And she was like, no, it gets wet. And she's right. So hopefully the wind stays in my favor. If not, if the family is gone, I'll start up another live and go into my living room and finish up. Bean says, I'm just curious, what will happen if you charge up and wash your car? Will the storm come or not? What is that? You just trying to be funny? Yep, there's a rain. All right, I got to get out of here, guys. I'm going to end the live, and then I'll come back in a few minutes. I can't let my wife's computer get wet. Deuces. Wait. It's slowing down. No, I'm out of here.